Hi, everybody. Steve Keller here. Hope you are doing great. And I wanted to do another generic MLM training. And there's a lot of things I'm actually not very good at in terms of being a professional network marketer, but one thing I am super good at. And fortunately for me, it's one of the most important things. And that is overcoming disappointment. Overcoming disappointment. Hey, ever have things not work out the way you wanted them to? Of course. Whether it's the whole company folding or this person is going to do great and then they don't, it's like as professionals, we understand that people join the witness protection program occasionally, promptly after signing up for the big pack, right? And but I want to talk a bit about the nuts and bolts of disappointment and how to overcome it. So a couple things. One, unresolved disappointment occupies a place in your heart that faith is supposed to occupy. So if you have a disappointment that you haven't really overcome, it really prevents you from moving forward again. Okay, and that's a huge deal. You just get stuck. You never get, maybe you hit it out of the park once with one company and then it didn't work out and you've never been able to get back on that horse successfully. So again, unresolved disappointment occupies a place in your heart that faith is supposed to occupy. So the fatal error that people make is that when you have tragedy, disappointment, whatever, and this is, by the way, this is just not for your network marketing business. This is for life in general. You got to understand how to overcome disappointment. So when we experience disappointment, typically the first reaction, what seems like a good idea but is a fatal trap, is this: to ask why. Why did that happen? Why did the company do that? Why did it fold? I really thought that maybe you had a strong intuition or you prayed and you're like, this is the one. And it didn't work out. And so you want to know why. Now, the reason for asking why, although it looks like a good idea, there's a couple of reasons for that. One, you think that you need to be responsible and you really, really want to avoid anything like this ever happening again. So I need to know why it happened, what I did wrong, what I missed, so that this never happens again, right? And the second reason we ask why is we think if we had some level of understanding, that understanding would give you a little bit of peace, and that peace would heal your broken heart, and then you can move forward, right? The problem is that when we ask why, your brain will give you answers, but it will not filter out the answers based on whether the answers are accurate or helpful. It will just bury you in BS, and here's the real problem. If you do it passionately and disciplined enough for long enough, you'll fundamentally rewire your brain for depression and anxiety, and your brain will only be trained to look for the problem, the shortcoming, the mistakes in your life, in companies, in other people, in a desperate attempt to prevent anything bad from happening again. Okay. And so there's a couple things you've got to do. One, you got to let go of needing to know why, because real peace doesn't come from that. Secondly, you have to ask different questions like, oh, okay, that sucked. What's the hidden gift in it? Now, unless you like being a victim, you've got to be able to answer that question. What's the hidden gift in it? Okay. And what's the hidden gift in it? How can we get to where we want to go, right? It's a matter of the questions you ask point your brain in a certain direction. And it's like having a beautiful golf swing and hitting the ball 350 yards straight in the sand trap every single time because you stare at the sand trap because you don't want to ever hit the sand trap again. Okay, well, it's not the way it works, okay? So let go of need to know why. Ask, how can you learn from it? How can we become better and stronger? And there's often a lot of real hardcore forgiveness you've got. You've got to forgive companies and people and yourself, and because you can't move forward in success in your next venture and still be holding on to unforgiveness. It just doesn't work. It's like there's a kind of a harsh example, hillbillies in the Appalachian Mountains in the U.S., they'll catch raccoons, and then what they'll do is they'll hollow out a log, and they'll make a hole in the log, which is just barely big enough for the raccoon to fit its hand into. And they'll put something shiny in it. And the raccoon will see it, and he'll reach his hand in and grab a hold of that shiny thing. But when his hand is holding on to something, it's too big to pull back out, okay? But the raccoon won't let go of the shiny thing. And then he's a coonskin cap and soup for some hillbilly in the mountains, okay? And often unforgiveness acts like this shiny thing that we just can't let go of. But you've got to let go to move forward. So for my own life, in 2020, I was the number one enroller internationally for a German network marketing company. Life was great, but the company didn't really listen very well to the distributors, made a bunch of decisions without really asking many of the distributors. And when they implemented those distributors in July of 2021, my income fell 90%. Boom. Everyone's. 1 month and next. Bam. August was the same. Bam. September, I'm like, I'm going to have to forgive some people because I'm like, you messed with my life. Does that make sense? And so I spent a decent amount of September forgiving people over and over and forgiving them over and let it go and asking the right questions and journaling because I knew this process and I knew I had to do it because I needed to move forward. And when I let that go, then in August, I started writing out in my journal, I want to build something extraordinary. I can, I will, I am now. And when I did that, my current company, ping, 3 days later, popped into my life. But I had to, you understand, I had to get good at overcoming disappointment before I tried to move forward. Anyways, hope that's helpful for you, either in business or life. I mean, everyone's got some disappointment. And if you're dealing with a lot of anxiety or depression, probably what's happened to you. Definitely, big suggestion, get a pen and paper and journal. And specifically journal, not how you're feeling, journal what is good in my life and what is going well in my life. And do it, pen and paper, over and over and over, because the mirror neurons in your brain will think it happened again when you write it down. And in 30 days, you can rewire your brain for happiness. And the happy brain is going to work 30% better to any task you give it than a depressed, anxious brain. Anyways, hope that helps. Hope you have an awesome weekend.